Positively Muskegon, Andy O'Reilly today with candidate for U.S. Congress, Dennis Murphy. I got to be honest with you, I started this blog here in October, and to think that I've got guys running for U.S. Congress that are on the blog, I'm honored.
Well, I appreciate
Thanks for taking the minute to come in.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of surprised we're doing this too. My wife's like, "What'd you get me into?" So,
wives tend to ask that question after
oh
the
my
fact,
gosh,
don't they?
it's like jumping on the high box instead of the small ones first. But
yeah,
is
this your first campaign?
Yeah, well, in 1988, actually, a lot of people from Muskegon are probably familiar with it. I was a manager of the Frontier Mart over on Southern and Seaway.
Oh, really? Okay.
For 3.5 years, in addition to what a lot of Muskegon residents know is the old Terry Lee's on the Heights for six months at the same time.
Yep.
I ran them both. And in 1988, I said, well, I'm going to run for city commission.
Okay.
And there was 13 of us in the primary. And I came in 8th, I think, out of 13th in number of votes. And the Chronicle endorsed all 4 of the incumbents, and they all won the election in November. But so that's the only other time I've ever tried anything like this. I really didn't ever have an inclination. And what happened was I was on what is now going to be my opponent's Facebook page watching some of his posts, and I wasn't really happy with some of the things I thought he said. So I went to the 2nd Congressional District Democratic Party, and I said, hey, is anybody running against this guy? Didn't hear anything, crickets. So then I said, well, if nobody else will, I will. Fatal words. so they called me. I'm like, you serious? I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
I got to work every day.
What do you do?
I'm a supplier quality engineer.
Okay.
I spent 10.5 years, most recently, the longest stint at Johnson Controls in Holland, Michigan.
Sure.
Then they sold our unit to Visteon. A lot of people in Muskegon probably understand that. Then you're downsized. Boom.
Trust me.
Sold and downsized. Then I landed a job with an electronics firm in Grand Rapids that had me living in China for 10 weeks.
Really?
China's an okay place to visit. 10 weeks was a stretch. They wanted me to go back for another 20, and I told them there wasn't enough work to keep me busy, and I didn't want to go back, so they eliminated the position.
Really?
So then I got a job. I'm at a metal stamping plant in Holland.
Okay, cool.
So working as a supplier quality engineer. And really my job there is really what I want to bring to this job if I get elected.
Talk about it.
Is fact-based. I mean, when you're working in manufacturing, you have a problem with parts or a problem with the machine, you can't just will it to be the way you want it because that's your view. You have to figure out what's wrong with it, work on the facts, and then address it and figure out the root cause. And what I see too often in politics, from all parties, all sides, is that they try to reach a conclusion of a solution already predetermined rather than actually stepping through the talking. Well, what really is the problem? And so I'm willing to talk to both sides. I mean, if I'm elected as a Democrat, which I'm running as a Democrat, and a Republican colleague has a really good idea, maybe I won't like all of it. I might like some of it. Maybe I'll like it all. You know what? I'll help you. I'll sign on to this because this looks like it's going to be the right solution. And if it's not going to be the right solution, then I guess we'd go from there. One of the things that I have also kind of been distressed over the last 5 or 7 years is there seems to be a tendency in the voters, and I'm not trying to criticize voters in general, but there's a certain element that basically they feel like if they haven't got everything they wanted, they lost.
Yeah.
And I don't really see that's politics. In fact, I took a negotiating class when I was my first engineering job. My boss sent me to this negotiating class, like if we had to negotiate for a contract to drop piping or air or water to some machinery or whatever. And the negotiating class said that when you deal with someone, you should both walk away feeling like you won something, like you got something. It should be win-win. Maybe your win is a big win and their win's a little win, but it should be win-win for both of you. And what I find now is that people say if they didn't win everything, they lost everything. I think that's not the way politics works. I mean, you never get everything you want.
Well, society's kind of going that direction. I mean, it's this polarization of, you know what I mean? We are all so polarized on this is the way, it's got to be this way. There's no room for wiggle. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate that kind of mentality.
I want to step back and again, like I say, look at the facts.
Yeah. So what are some of the things? I mean, you're going for a pretty big district here.
Yeah.
And I got to throw this in there. You're the homeboy in Muskegon because this is where you grew up.
It is. Yeah.
What are your goals for Muskegon? What can you see us doing?
And that's that's one of the concerns I have. I know I just was at a meeting in Allendale. And they said Ottawa County's really growing. It's booming. It's expanding. And not to take anything away from their success, but
no, it's good for them.
Let's look at Muskegon. I mean, I actually live in Granville. My wife and I moved over there in 1991 for jobs. She grew up in Fruitport after they moved out of Muskegon Heights, and I grew up over best pizza in the world, Scripps Pizza. So I grew up right around from Scripps Pizza on Laketon Avenue, off Laketon Avenue. So I remember when they remodeled that building, and I think Muskegon could use some attention. In fact, I just saw. The one restaurant owner downtown was complaining about some of the blight around his restaurant.
Oh yeah, Ted.
Ted, yeah. I actually sent him an email. I haven't heard back from him, but he's absolutely right. I mean, my wife and I rode a bike from Heritage Landing out to Pier Marquette and back. There's so much opportunity there, so much to expand, and I think that that's the kind of thing. Maybe whether it's grants or stimulus money, to be honest, let's face it, stimulus money, interest rates are below zero. Let's put some of that to work and boost the economy in this area, and help fix up Muskegon and Muskegon Heights.
I mean, we need it.
Yeah,
and everything I preach on this thing is that we've got Muskegon, we've got Muskegon Heights, we've got Norton Shores, we've got Roosevelt Park. It's really one.
Well, and the district's
really is one area. I think Muskegon is Fruitport to Whitehall.
Yeah,
that's my picture of Muskegon. So not everybody sees it that way, but that's me.
The second district that I'm running for extends all the way up to Ludington and Baldwin, Lake County, and I think Lake County's kind of been neglected a little bit. Newego's been neglected.
Is it still the poorest county in Michigan?
I think, at least on this side of the state, it might be.
Wow.
And so they could use some help, and I think they need representation that's going to look out for everybody in the district. But and it's not like I want to favor Muskegon, but we can't throw everything into Holland, and I don't want to take anything away from them either. I think that there's a way to serve everybody in the whole district.
Yeah. Some of the other issues that you're most concerned about. Talk about some of those. I know education's a big thing. Yeah.
Well, I'll be blunt. I consider myself an FDR progressive Democrat. Although I didn't really I've never registered for the party until January to do this run, but I consider myself an FDR-style progressive Democrat. And one of his key programs was Social Security, and I see an 80-year campaign to undermine that, and it's a generational deal. Young people are basically getting to the point where they go, it's not going to be there when we retire.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even that young, and I don't think it's going to be there.
Well, and that's a deliberate tactic. They want you to not feel like it's going to be there, so when they finally eliminate it, you're going to go, well, it wasn't going to be there anyways.
Yeah.
That is a false mindset. It can be there. We can choose to make it be there. It's a political will decision to protect Social Security so that not only do our seniors retire okay, but it's there for us. And basically what a lot of politicians do right now is they know that seniors vote, and so they go tell them, we're going to protect your Social Security, but they don't care about you because the younger people don't always vote at the same level, and so it's a deliberate divide and conquer, and I want to bring both the younger and the older generation together to protect that program.
It seems to me that's not only just Social Security that divide and conquer thing is going on. I mean, I saw
education.
Yeah, I saw. Are you familiar with a guy named Noam Chomsky?
Noam Chomsky, yeah.
I saw his thing on Netflix, the Requiem for the American Dream.
Okay.
And he talks about that a lot. And I think one of the things, me being a junior mayor in Roosevelt Park, the mayor pro tem, all I want to do in Roosevelt Park is get people together. I want them to come out and talk. I want them to be in the park. I want them to communicate, because I think that's where that solidarity comes in, and we just seem to have that being chopped away at everywhere we look. Is that how you see it too?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, again, it is a divide and conquer. They look for the wedge issue. Yeah. People do. All politicians. I'm not a politician, so I don't want to look for wedge issues. I want to look for solutions.
Yeah, me too. I'm with it.
So
talk some other. We've got a few minutes left here.
Sure.
Talk about some of the other stuff.
I'm firmly against privatization of our schools, of our prisons. Talk about crony capitalism.
Yeah.
That's what that stuff is.
Yeah.
And we need, again, it's a generational compact. Our schooling was paid for when we were younger by older people who were retired or didn't have kids.
See?
Now they're retired. Now we're getting older. Our kids are out of school. We need to support the next generation and support that, because that's where citizens are made.
That's what he talks about in that video I just brought up. It's like
exactly.
You're not paying your taxes because you're going to school. You're paying it for the kid down the street.
Right. No, nobody wants to pay taxes and have it wasted.
Right.
But I think we almost have to look at Texas like a membership in the society.
Yeah.
And this is a great country. We don't have to make it great again.
Yeah.
It's already great. Doesn't mean we don't have things we can work on.
Yeah.
And
Polish them up a little
public
bit.
education is one of them. And like I say, I don't want to protecting the environment. I'm really concerned about the pipeline through the straits, and I know a lot of other congressmen and just wannabe congressmen are concerned about it. And the estimates I've seen is if that pipeline ruptured, Pierre Marquette Park could be coated in black.
No kidding.
And you know as well as I do, there are times over the last 20 years where Pierre Marquette has had 2 or 3 citations as one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And let's not ruin that. I mean, I think we've got a better beach than, nothing to take away anything from Grand Haven, but Pierre Marquette's a beautiful beach.
I'll take the shot.
I love it's great down there.
It is good.
In fact, we're planning a fundraiser bike ride for August, the first Saturday of August. We want people to meet us down at Heritage Landing, ride that bike path down along Lakeshore Drive to Pierre Marquette. We'll have some food and snacks when we get down there, some camaraderie. People can ask questions, and then we're going to ride back to Heritage Landing.
Very cool.
And it's like about 11-mile round trip, and we'll do an easy pace, and people will get to see the lakeshore.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's some development going on there that's positive, but they can also see some of the places where we could use some work.
Absolutely. I wish you the best, man.
Well, thanks.
Thanks for taking a couple of minutes. I mean,
awesome.
to think somebody running for the U.S. House of Reps came on my little blog. It's an honor. It's a pleasure, and to think that we can be out here in a nice place like Roosevelt Park
great.
to talk.
This is a great park. Yeah,
it is.
I used to play tennis over here with a friend of mine that lived in Roosevelt Park. It was our regular tennis meeting spot. Yeah, they had great courts there. So.
That's a good place.
Yeah.
Wish you the best, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for taking a couple minutes. All the links are on here at Positively Muskegon. If you'd like to learn more about Dennis, just follow those links to his Facebook page as well as his You'd think I was a broadcaster. His campaign page as well. Dennis, thanks again.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.